Yeah, thank you very much, John. And I was very intrigued by your talk about how you look at it from city point of view and accommodating these refugees from our neighbors here. And, you know, as you know, I look at things from the perspective of immigration policy. And if you look at that, and you're mayor of a city, today, I think worldwide, more than half of the population worldwide is living in cities. And by 2050, I think it's probably something like 2/3 of the world population that will be living in cities. So this urbanization globally is a very important factor, also from an immigration or migration policy point of view, that what we look at. And what we think is very important, and what you see now, and that current crisis with Ukraine next door, when you have such a flood of migrants, of course, you could see this firsthand. And here, you know, there are very interesting challenges, particularly when you're in a neighboring country, even though you're not in a neighboring region, but it's very commendable what you did. I think it's very interesting to see that. And I advocate for a lot more of that. So if you particularly look from European perspective, it's different in different parts of the world, of course, but if you look at it from a European perspective, interestingly, we actually need more immigration. Unfortunately, politically, this is a very difficult topic. But, you know, cities, in my view, should expand to accommodate more inhabitants generally and be much more open to immigration from different parts of the world, and particularly from European perspective. And here, I think, you know, we will see in the future, we will see a lot more that we need to tackle, because if you look at the increased volatility globally and the climate change, and you know, there are different estimates worldwide that go from several 100 million to up to 2 billion forced migrants in the future, and that's very significant. So if you look in the future, we're going to have a lot more to deal with than we have now. Today we have about 100 million registered refugees. These are just officially registered, so there will be many more. And in a few years you have for sure several 100 million, maybe up to 2 billion. How are we going to deal with this? Then we have globally, clearly, a further trend to urbanization, so we're going to have to actually build new cities. And we probably have to build hundreds of new cities globally just to accommodate and deal with this. And this is one of the things we do on the humanitarian side of the immigration spectrum where we work, where we think it's time, really the world has come to that, it's time to look at expanding existing cities and to build new cities, primarily, not only, but primarily for these migrants, to unleash the human potential, the human capital, rather than what we do now, where migrants, refugees are more or less looked as a problem, politically and practically, and by the local population, fearing they're taking their jobs and so on. That's absolutely a clear, important factor to take into consideration, these fears and the political exploitation of these fears. But actually, if you look at this from a factual point of view, like what we do as professionals, we look at this factually, and you know, actually the real thing to do would be to be much more open, also be much more strict in how to manage it, but much more open, because we actually need to accommodate more people in wealthier countries, and we're going to have hundreds of millions of migrants to deal with, so we better start to think about that today. With that, I will close here already and hand over to my next colleague to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much.